Um, it is Tuesday. Good afternoon. Hope everybody's having a great day so far. So on Tuesdays, I get into basically a deal or no deal where I look for live deals. These are real deals that are currently on the internet, and I just look for them live. I don't, do any searching beforehand. I just look to see what's available, kind of detail what the criteria is going to be. For today, I'm looking at single family homes. I believe the 2 weeks before we did a new construction project where we were just looking at land. A week before that, we did a multifamily project. And so I wanted to keep it kind of, keep some variety and look into the single family. I know that's what most people are looking at. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and my name is Majesty, Gayle. I'm a developer out of Atlanta. For you guys that don't know me, and so real estate is basically all I do, and yeah, so I'm just on YouTube doing real estate stuff. So let's go ahead and look into something in my area. And what we're gonna do is what I call back of the napkin. Analysis, meaning that it's not going to be exact in that way. It's going to be something that's a little bit more like a draft. It's going to be something that you do beforehand, just so you know if it even makes sense to pursue. Yeah, wow. Okay, this one's interesting. It has this guy in front. Let's do this one. It looks. I haven't really seen a a picture like that before with with someone just kind of in it randomly. Yeah, so there are a lot of pictures here as well. So basically, what we're going to do is take a quick look at this property and see if it even makes sense to call this great individual right here who has it available. And also, let me backtrack real quick. So I'm on a website called InvestorLift. It's free for people to get on and look at properties. I think it costs for people to get on and like sell properties, but it's basically a marketplace for, I believe it's off-market properties. Like they're not on the MLS. These are more like wholesale deals, things like that. I've been using this website for maybe 2 years now. I think it's a good platform to find possible deals. Now, in my opinion, a lot of them are overpriced, but that's Zillow and the MLS as well. So can't really say anything bad about that part. But there's some free game. This is a great website to go to find off-market properties and work with other wholesalers and things like that all across the country as well. As you can see from the map I was looking at before. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this one now. You have to request the address, and when you do that, it sends them the person who put it up here like a message, and then they start like hounding you about buying their property. So I don't want to do that because I don't know if I'm interested in this. Probably wouldn't buy this anyway. It doesn't really fit my wheelhouse. I really don't like anything that has less than 2 bathrooms because I don't want to have to add a bathroom if I don't have to, unless it's just a really good deal. And because nobody's buying anything with just 1 bathroom. Now, even when you see this right here, it says, you got to change it to a 4-2. But anyway, we're going to look at this real quick, do a back of the napkin, and see if we want to contact Andrew about his property at $240,000. So I'll break down what we're seeing here for those of you that are brand new, just so I'm not speaking, getting too far ahead of anyone. But basically, this is a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. There's no half bathrooms. This is in Atlanta, Georgia, in this area. To get the address, once again, I'd have to click this. I don't want to click it because then it's going to send them a notification that I'm interested, and I'm not interested. But anyway, it's 1,361 square feet, which is that's a good size to be able to do the addition. I just don't really like additions. They're costly. It hasn't been on here long. Just got on here, 18 views. But the person is selling it for $240,000. That's what they want for this property. This one right here. Let me see if I can pull up a couple pictures for you guys. Yeah, so it's a little house in Atlanta. Simple. I'm guessing he was showing the house. Maybe it's his house. Like a shed back there. Got a little AC unit with a little gate. There's a crawl space, maybe. Trying to see the inside. Crawl space. There we go. Kitchen. Okay, so I really wanted to see what type of rehab this needs, and this is a full rehab. This is take everything out. Like the walls seem to be in good shape, but I would take everything. I mean, you got to do some repairs right there, but the walls seem to be in good enough shape to keep the walls there. Maybe you got to do something about the ceiling. Yeah. You could take out the drywall if you wanted to. It'd just be extra work. But so that's one of the first things that you want to see is what type of rehab do you need to do? And over here, I already have, if you guys can see my notepad, I already have notes here about what the different levels of rehab are. And once again, this is just the back of the napkin. So we're using some rules of thumb. You're going to have to dive deeper into it if you are interested. Like if we do this and it makes sense to dive deeper, then we would look at actual numbers. We would go to the property, you know, all those different things. But right now, we're just doing a quick like glance to see if this even makes sense to have a conversation about. I would consider this one a at least an average rehab and maybe even a heavy rehab. It's definitely not light rehab. You're gonna have to change out a lot of things, probably systems. I don't know enough about the roof, the plumbing and things like that. If you have to change out systems, then that's really how you get to the heavy rehab. If you're able to keep the systems, and by systems I mean AC units, plumbing, and electrical. Those are the main, you know, systems that are installed in housing or in real estate in general, for the most part. And they're very costly. And you know, they have costly repairs, costly replacements. So those things cost a lot. If you don't have to replace those types of things, then it falls more around this area, or maybe you just have to repair it or swap out some of it. You know, and if you don't have to place any at all, this is like paint and carpet, you know, just kind of a facelift, then that's a light rehab. So this isn't a facelift. The house looks pretty old, up 1948. So yeah, it's pretty old. Most things need to be replaced within 10 years. So like here we go right here. Roofs, HVAC. Yeah, see, they're estimating 50K, which is funny, but because you're going to need to get new roofing, new and this is assuming they're telling the truth. They just assume that they never tell you the truth about what's going on. The foundation probably is decent. Windows are new. That's good to know. Exterior brick. I mean, it's painted recently, but it's ugly. So anyway, this is basically what we're looking at. So based on the square footage that we have here, which is 1361, I'm going to go ahead and go with with an average rehab just for math's sake here. So that's going to put us at about 102,000. They put 50,000 as what they thought. They never trust their repair. They want you to buy the property. They don't care if you're successful in your business plan. So whoever's selling you the property, don't trust what they say about, you know, what it takes to do to get the property where you need it to get. They're obviously gonna tell you whatever gets you to buy the property. So you always want to look at. They're usually very low when it comes to that. And you also want to keep in mind they don't know construction enough to be able to tell you those numbers unless they're a GC or something like that. And then if they are a GC and they say these are the numbers, then say, hey, you know, you should do the work for me then if that's what you're saying you're going to do. The work should cost. But you probably won't find that like to happen. But anyway, so our number is 102,075. So about a little over $100,000 is what it's going to take. So I'm going to walk you guys through a quick formula so that we can see if this even makes sense. ARV stands for after repair value. So this is what they're saying the property will be worth once the work is done. Gross margin, that's basically saying what your profit is before cost, before any cost. If you bought it at 240, and your gross margin before you any costs like your construction costs and stuff is saying you'd make $160,000 if you were able to sell this house as is for $400,000, which, none of that makes sense. So that metric doesn't really matter exactly right now, because you obviously are going to have some costs to get it to this $400,000 value. And to be clear, these values are just input by Mr. Andrew, I believe his name. Yep, Andrew. So they don't have any basis on any, like objective data. So keep that in mind. Just because it says $400,000 doesn't mean it's actually worth $400,000 after it's repaired. An appraisal will tell you that, and some other, official third-party reports will tell you that. The best way to find it yourself quickly is just through looking at comps, looking in the area for what has sold within the last 3 to 6 months that are similar to this property, maybe down the street or what have you, and see if they have sold for this $400,000. For right now, just to look at this, we're going to assume that the $400,000 is accurate. I don't see any comps anywhere in here. Sometimes they put comps in here to show you that they've done some research. I don't see any comps, but we'll just assume it's 400,000 just so I can get through this formula. So we're looking at 400K ARV, right? Lenders are going to want to see you at 75% of ARV, roughly, probably a little less. 75% is probably the most aggressive that most lenders are going to be when it comes to a flip, meaning that a lender that's got a hard money lender or a private lender is going to give you money for a deal like this. They're going to want to see you at 75% of that after repair value, which is $300,000. That's how much they want you to be all in. They want you to have the gap, the $100,000 as profit, as gross profit. So that's how they're looking at it. All in. That means the cost to acquire the property and to rehab the property. You need to be at 300K all in. I'm saying all of this because we're walking through this formula. So assuming that we are at the $400,000 and that we take 75% of that, which is $300,000. This is our all in. That's our project budget, the max project budget that we can use. And we have already established that our rehab is $102,075. So I'm going to go ahead and actually round that up to 105 for easy math. And it's always best to be conservative anyway. So what that does is that's going to give us our max offer that we can make to Mr. Andrew for this property. So we're reverse engineering our way into what we can pay for this property. With that said, we are now at 195K. That is the max offer that we can make to Andrew to buy this property. He is asking 240K. Minus our 195K offer, we are 45K off from each other. There's a gap of $45,000 for us to be able to reach a deal. So this happens a lot in real estate, where you kind of have the buyer, here, and the seller kind of here, and the game is that is to work out how to get closer to each other. That's kind of what the dance is. That's what real estate is. That's like deal making. That's literally what happens. This gap, you have to close it. You have to find out what each side wants more than the other. Maybe he can come down. Maybe we can go up if we go out there and do some, do a walkthrough, and then we see, this is not as bad as we thought. We don't need plumbing, so we can reduce our rehab budget. And now that makes it so that we can offer more. Maybe the appraisal comes back in even higher than 400,000, and we're like, wow, we didn't, know that would happen. And so now we can offer more or something like that. So that's how you make a deal happen. This is how you do a quick back of the napkin, just to kind of recap. So we went with the $75 a square foot rule of thumb, since it looks like an average rehab. for the most part. I mean, the building isn't falling down. It looks like the lights are on. Somebody could live there. It just it looks like it hasn't been updated in a very long time. So we kept it at the 75. So we multiplied our square footage by that $75 a square foot, and that came up to 102.5 as our rehab budget. We took the $400,000 ARV that was provided to us so kindly by Mr. Andrew Peacock, and we removed the 75% from it, allocated that to the side because that is the maximum budget that a lender will allow us and still give us the money to do this project. Now, some lenders will give you that entire $300,000 to do the project, meaning that you don't have to put any money in. As long as you can make those numbers work, like you can make those numbers real, you can get Andrew to sell it to you for $195, then they'll give you the full amount. So, you know, you got your work cut out for you in negotiations, but there's a lot of options if you are able to get the price where you need it to be. But anyway, so we got the $300,000 is our total project cost. And we see our rehab is 102,075. I went ahead and rounded up to 105, and we subtracted 105 from the $300,000 that we have as a maximum project budget, and that's how we got to the 195K max offer, which is about $45,000 below the asking price that he is requesting for this project. So the question is this a deal or is it not a deal? I like to say that every deal has the potential to be a good deal. It just matters where you can buy it at. If I show you a house and it's just like ran down or whatever, and I tell you I'm paying $1 million for it, you'll say maybe it's a bad deal. But if I tell you I'm being paid $1 million just to deal with the property, then you might say that's a pretty good deal. Like, so it depends on how you look. It depends on your position. It depends on where you're able to negotiate the price and the numbers. So that's how I look at deals. So every deal has the potential to be a good deal. Just depends on how it's structured. So this deal has the potential to be a good deal if you can get it closer to 195. I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts about it. Hopefully this was helpful for you. I'll be doing this every Tuesday, walking through deals. We'll probably get a little bit more detailed on some of them. But either way, if this was helpful to you, please like, comment, subscribe, share. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video.